Hi, my name is Stacy Dukeshire. This is my creative process project for Business 646, and I chose to write a 5-minute science fiction bedtime story. Once upon a time, in a neighboring planet, there was a woman who lived alone in a hoverpod in the middle of a forest in a realm called Enlightenment. In Enlightenment, people were valued as they aged. The Olders, as they are called, were forced to quit working when they reached 50 years to provide wisdom to the realm and its leaders through ideas. This Older was given the name Imagination. Imagination was happy in her solitude because she had creativity. She was never lonely or bored because she was immensely creative in her thoughts and ideas. For example, one day she witnessed food become scarce for her forest animal friends, but it was winter and the snow had blanketed everything. Worried for her animal friends, she shared her food and told them that surely she would come up with a solution. That night she went to bed with curiosity and had a vivid dream. In the dream, an idea was born. Immediately, the next morning, imagination began to dig a deep underground hole for which she and her animal friends could store food for the winter. She insulated it with natural materials and covered it with soil. From then on, she and her friends always had plenty to eat. Now, most people born in the realm of enlightenment came about creativity naturally. That is to say, that they were either born with it or they acquired it by performing a service to the court. The court was the governing body of enlightenment and made all the decisions surrounding the happenings in the realm. An example of service that could be exchanged for creativity would be using AI-powered tools to do research for the realm, or fixing one of the many AI chatbots lying around. Anyhow, it was considered bad not to have creativity. In fact, one could be shunned from the realm because what do you have to offer the realm without creativity? Another way to be shunned from the realm was to use creativity to do bad things. This was the worst crime that could be committed in the realm. This could get you the space sentence. One unfortunate soul was in such a predicament. His name was Reality, and he lived in a 1,400 square foot single family hoverpod near the town dump where he worked, sifting through trash for recyclables. He lived with his wife, her mother, and her brother. Reality was not born with creativity, and neither was anyone in his family. The family was depressed, and the depression was generational. Mom, grandma, and uncle were all Olders, but because they lacked creativity and the motivation to provide a service to the court, they were not allowed to quit their jobs at 50. Reality's grandmother was 80 and still working. Reality didn't care that his family was still working necessarily, as he wanted creativity for himself and he was determined to get it. So I actually read more, but it times out at over 5 minutes. So I know you said you wanted this to be under 5 minutes. So the second part of this is talking about how I used AI. I did use AI. I have experience in all three outcomes that you listed, so I had to dig deep. While I have written stories before, I've never written science fiction. So I used AI and I put in a 5-minute science fiction story. And AI came up with a link that was a writing prompt for a science fiction story. So that writing prompt was 3 sentences. Basically, you had to create a magic item, which I did with creativity. You had to come up with a hero, which was imagination. You had to come up with a villain, which was reality. And then one had to really want the item. The other one had to go about anything to get them not to have it. And so then I created the story around those writing prompts. If I struggled to come up with something that was futuristic enough for the story, then I went back to AI and said, okay, what are innovative ways that we are storing food without refrigeration? And AI came back with this ground fridge, which a company out of Scandinavia is building these ground fridges, and it's a pod that you bury in the earth. It's insulated and you cover it with soil. So that's how I used AI to help me create my story. Thank you. Bye.